Okay, this is a quick crash course on how to access the virtual lab. Now, on the second day of school, I made you put this link on your iPad. This link is to the Connect Ed login screen. And if you didn't make the link, then you've got to go on Safari and you've got to type in Connect space Ed and you got to find the link. And it looks, the login screen, doggone it, it looks like this. Okay? All right. Since I'm sending this to Aiden and to Kessler, I'm going to log in as Aiden. So just so I can have it exactly like it's going to look, because it looks slightly different as a teacher. You got to put your whole email address in. And you two have both logged in class. So it does work. So please don't email me and say, it won't work. It will work. One thing that you might have to do is capitalize the first letter of your password for some reason. So here we go. Aiden should log in. And it's working, so I don't want to remember that password. And it's loading. And then once you get into here, you just hit launch. And then your book opens up. You can't do this through the app. You gotta do this through the web because we're doing a virtual lab and the app won't run the virtual labs. Okay, so by default, it should be on this page, but you want to go up here to menu, click menu, then click resources. And then mine, by default, I haven't gone anywhere else yet in this chapter, in this book, so it should say scientific problem solving right here. If not, you just click the drop down arrow and you select scientific problem solving, and it should automatically say lesson 1. If not, drop down, make it say lesson 1. Then you have a button right here that says lab manager. I click on lab manager, and I screwed up. Lab manager, and then the lab comes up, and then you open the lab, and it might say pop-up blocker. By the way, if it won't open, you've got to turn pop-up blocker off, and you do that by going into your settings, then clicking Safari within your settings and making sure that you have pop-up blocker deactivated, so no pop-up blocker. So here we hit allow, and then the lab comes up. Now, the lab report is on Google Classroom. So you open the lab report on Google Classroom. It's an assignment called Virtual Lab, and you can do a split screen here with the lab report and the actual lab right here. What you're doing is you are determining which conditions make the best compost. Compost is kind of, people build these boxes that are out in their backyards if they have a garden, and it's usually lined with like chicken wire. And inside the compost heap, you put grass clippings, or you put leaves. Some people put apple peels, potato peels, carrot peels, if they're orange peels, whatever. And they just go in there and they decay and they rot and they turn into fertilizer, basically. So there are some things that you can do with it. So up here at the top, we have to determine the best, most efficient compost, and you have some parameters that you can set. So you can drag these bars around. For example, it has the brown to green ratio. What that means is, like, brown things would be like grass that's dead and brown, or you throw dead brown leaves in there. Green would be like you put fresh cut grass in it, or green leaves. So that's kind of what this means. And you kind of set a ratio of what you think you should put. Water concentration, you want it to be super duper wet, which is way over here at 80 to 100%. Do you want it not so much? You dial it down. It's only 20 to 40% wet. And you see if water concentration makes a difference on how much nutrients this will make. And then you got a pitchfork here, and you're going to stir it. You can stir it as many as 8 times and as little as 1 time per month. So the first question on your lab report asks you to define the problem, and the problem is that we're trying to find what combination of these 3 factors here, green to brown, water concentration, and number of turns, is going to give you the most efficient compost. So you've got an efficiency meter up there. Right now it's on the lowest setting. Your goal is you're going to try to find what combination of these 3 factors, brown to green, water concentration, and number of turns, what combination is going to make that needle go all the way over to the other side in the dark purple and be at that final hash mark. So it's completely buried to the right hand side. So that's your problem, is to figure out which combination of those factors is going to give you the best results. I believe the second question on your lab report asks you to come up with a hypothesis. So you just have to guess. Like, I don't know, you can just pick some. I think that a 25 to 75% brown to green ratio is going to be the best. I think I'm going to make it super soaked, 80 to 100% wet, and I'm going to stir it a whole bunch. I'm going to stir it 8 times, and I think that's going to be the winning combination. So you got to pick a hypothesis before you start. Then I think the third question asks you something about how you're going to do this experiment. And you're going to do it by trial and error. You're going to toggle these switches up here. And you're going to pick some category. You're going to pick some ratios of the 3. And you're just going to run the experiment and see what happens. So here we go. I'm going to crank this baby to full power brown. I'm going to make it super duper wet. And I'm going to stir the heck out of it. So, yeah, get over there. This is my first trial. To run my trial, I go down to the calendar and I tap September. Start to run the trial. We go through the whole month here. Hurry up. And you can see that when I had it maxed out, brown versus green, I had it maxed out, water concentration and number of turns. When I did all that, my needle went to the light purple, and that is medium efficiency, so that's not good enough. So then I go back to the drawing board, and by the way, you have a table in your lab report. It looks like this. And this is where you record what you set it at. So green, I think I had it at 0%. Let me see. Yeah, I had no green. I had all 100% brown. My water concentration, I had 80 to 90%. I'd write that there. Number of turns per month, I did 8. And efficiency rating, I got medium. So then I just picked something else. I'm going to... Oh, I had to hit reset. Reset. Okay, reset. Let's make it... I'm going to turn it 1 time. I'm going to make it really dry. And then I'm going to make it just 25% brown, 75% green. So now I'll go back to my table. I'll record all those conditions, and then I hit go, September 1st. Tap that. Goes through the calendar. For a month, this flies by. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And I got basically the same results. So it looks like if I went extreme to the right on all my bars here, it wasn't that great. If I went extreme to the left, it wasn't that great. So maybe a happy medium would be better. So keep doing that. Keep tinkering with it. Put different parameters in. You might get lucky and you might hit the jackpot on like after 2 trials, you find out what buries the needle. Some people today in class, they use several of these rows. You don't have to use all of them if you don't need to. You need to use as many as it takes to get the job done. Once you find the combination that gives you high efficiency, then you have to record that. And I think the last question asks you what basically was the combination that got you really high efficient compost. So then once you get that all done, then you turn it in, and there's a problem with Notability. You can do the work on Notability, you can write on it, but it's not letting you turn stuff in from Notability to Google Classroom. So they're trying to fix it. So the workaround is after you do all your work in Notability, like you fill out the entire lab report, you have to screenshot it. So screenshot all your problems, it'll stick it in your photo album, and then go grab your photos and upload those to the completed lab part of the Google Classroom. So that's how that works, okay? So let me know if you need anything, and we'll see you when you get back. All right, how do I turn